My name is Alex Wittenberg. I am the COO of airCFO, a finance and accounting partner for startups. And I'm joined today by Patrick Caughlin from TruSTAR. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your experience with airCFO.
Hello, I'm Patrick, the co-founder, CEO of TruSTAR. TruSTAR is a cyber intelligence management platform. We are cloud native, we are API first, and we work with over 5,000 of some of the largest companies across the world.
So tell me a little bit about what your accounting and finance process looked like before you started working with airCFO.
My accounting process before airCFO was kind of a mess. I had tried just about every solution under the sun, including doing it myself, including trying to buy some of these SaaS solutions, including working with other types of consultants and contractors, and nothing was really working for us. At the same time, we were trying to scale a startup, and that meant that I was wearing many different hats, and I was finding that I was spending far too much time trying to manage the accounting and the finance instead of getting out and spending time with customers.
So it sounds like you were experiencing something that is a pretty common problem for the companies that come to airCFO, which is that the founding team is spread thin and they don't necessarily have someone on their team with the bandwidth to focus on the finance and accounting portion of the business. How did engaging with airCFO help to solve some of these challenges that you were facing?
I've been working with airCFO for almost 7 years. I was first introduced to airCFO by a friend of mine and a founder who was a customer. And when I met the folks at airCFO, I learned that I was able to really get the perfect blend of a SaaS solution and a real partner and advisor for building out the accounting and finance of TruSTAR. And that's what the best part of it is for me, is that you really have sort of this perfect blend of a technology solution that helps you close your books, to do forecasting and projections, but then you've also really got an advisor and a partner who does actually act like your CFO and can really help you guide the business around the financial goals that you're setting.
Awesome. Could you speak a little bit more about some of the key results that came about, maybe some of the things that we helped with around maintaining a financial model, interfacing with investors, attending board meetings, some of those things?
Over the last 7 years, my relationship with their CFO evolved. In the early days, it was just about putting in place some processes for paying vendors, sending invoices. But then as TruSTAR grew and continued to gain more traction in the market, our accounting and finance needs also grew. We went from just needing to process invoices and cut invoices to needing to build a complex financial model for fundraising. After raising money and bringing in investors on multiple rounds, we built out our board, and that required having monthly board meeting or quarterly board meetings, and preparing for those. And Alex and the team at airCFO was a partner in all of that. So it's pretty interesting to look at how we engaged 6-7 years ago when we were just a slide deck and a good idea, and then how we engaged 7 years later and the sophistication required, and airCFO was a partner through all of that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about, and TruSTAR is definitely the clearest example of airCFO's ability to take a company from a couple of co-founders and a slide deck all the way through to an extremely successful exit by a Fortune 100 company. So I was really excited to have been a part of the journey for sure.
Well, we couldn't have done it without you. You know that.
Appreciate you saying that for sure. So you talked about some of the things that airCFO took off your plate and took off Paul's plate. what was your team able to accomplish with the time that you saved and also the budget that you saved for not having to hire your own full-time finance and accounting team?
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, cash is king in the early days of a company, and arguably always. But uh, the economics for airCFO, not having to spend a bunch of money on bringing in our own in-house accounting and finance folks as we were scaling, allowed us to spend more money on product development and accelerating our product into the market. We were able to build out a sales team and build out a marketing team to actually get our product into the hands of the customers who wanted it. For me personally, it made the finance and accounting part of my job far easier. I got back hours in the day and many hours in the weeks and the months because instead of sort of fighting with Excel, I was able to be talking to customers. I was able to be traveling to go and see our team and to see our product at work.
One of the other things was often how should I say this? It often became a large part of airCFO's role at TruSTAR was the revenue operations process. Working with B2B enterprise customers, it was arguably one of the hardest things about getting the cash in the door was navigating through the procurement process and then chasing down invoices. So that was one thing that fell onto airCFO's plate. And we also, because of the lumpy nature of your revenues from a small number of really large customers, needed to keep close tabs on the composition of the pipeline in order to make sure that the deals that you had and that your team was working supported the projections that you were putting in front of your board and that those goals that you had for the business for the year. Could you maybe just speak for a minute about some of the value that airCFO provided on that revenue operations front?
Yeah, yeah. And as we grew, our need for more and more rigor around our pipeline, around our accounts receivable and collections, also became incredibly more important. And my team grew. And it wasn't just me talking to Alex or somebody at airCFO every month or every quarter right before the board meeting. We needed to do this on a weekly and sometimes even daily basis. And so bringing in other people from my team to work with airCFO, my chief revenue officer, my head of business operations, worked very closely with airCFO to put rigor into the revenue operations of TruSTAR. And we did that in many different ways, but really the goal always was to make sure that we have fidelity in our forecast, that we are not kidding ourselves about our projections, and that we could really pass the sniff test when we went in front of the board and some of our savvy investors and opened up the books and said, this is what we're seeing.
Yeah, some of the some of the scarier moments of my engagement with TruSTAR was always when Arun would want to really dive deep into the financial projections, and it wasn't because I wasn't confident in them, but because he has a very keen nose for BS, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yep.
But we did have the underlying defensibility of those projections based on some of that pipeline forecasting work that we did. So we made it
Yeah,
through.
I think airCFO saw us through 50 board meetings, 3 funding rounds, 7 years of year-over-year financial growth, and let's not forget an incredibly difficult diligence process for the acquisition. And by my favorite part of that was when we showed up for the diligence kickoff call with the acquiring company. Little old TruSTAR brought 3 or 4 people, and the acquiring company brought 85. And that was an indication of how difficult the diligence was going to be. And the financial diligence was a big part of that, and certainly could not have gotten through that period without airCFO.
Would you recommend airCFO to an early stage founder who is looking for finance and accounting help that will scale along with the business? And if so, could you give a couple of reasons why?
Yeah, I would recommend airCFO to any early stage founder or team that is trying to level up their accounting and finance. I have. I do recommend airCFO, and it's often one of the first tips that I give early stage founders is stop trying to do this yourself. There's a better way. There's an easier way. And when I tell people about airCFO, I say the price is right. You are going to get a good deal. And the value is so clear because what you get is not only a technology solution, but you get a real advisor that can scale with your needs as you go. Like I said, my needs on day one of starting TruSTAR or day 100 of starting TruSTAR were totally different than they were on day 1000 when it comes to the rigor required for finance, accounting, revenue operations. It amazes me how we had one partner that whole time. That whole time we had one partner, and it was airCFO. We grew, we changed in so many different ways, but airCFO was the constant.
What is one thing you'd want someone who's considering using airCFO to know about the experience of working with them?
I would want every early stage founder who I'm recommending airCFO to, I would want them to know that they're not going to find this hybrid solution that everybody needs anywhere else. You need not just a product and a technology solution for your accounting and finance, but you also need an advisor and a partner that can scale with you. And when you can pick up the phone and call, as I did many times, to Alex before board meetings, on the side of board meetings, funding rounds, and you can be confident that you're going to have a partner who will help you through no matter what the challenge is.
All right. Those were all the questions that we had. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we wrap today?
We had a lot of ups and downs at TruSTAR for sure, and there were difficult times, and there were great times, and we're moving into this next chapter. But I can't imagine having gone through that with anybody else, and I just really appreciate what you did. Working with you, I've also enjoyed watching airCFO grow. And I know you guys have, and I know you've been critical to that. And so I'm super excited for you to just keep growing and keep doing what you're doing, and keep me posted along the way because I'm a fan.